Hey everyone, I'm Ellie and I'm going to teach you how to make your sourdough. I've got starter here, mine's active, so that just means that I've fed it 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of water. If you're worried that you don't have enough starter on the go, you can feed it once, let it rise a bit, and then feed it again, let it rise again, and do that as many times as you need to feel confident that you have enough in your jar. Once you do, and once it has risen, you can get cracking making your bread. So the activation process for your starter will depend time-wise on the season and the temperature in your kitchen or wherever you're doing it. So it's chilly here, it's the middle of winter, and it's taken my starter probably about 4 to 6 hours. You can speed the process up by putting it somewhere warmer, but you know, if you're not too fussed about timing, then you just let it hang out on the bench and do its thing. One of the best ways to tell whether it is active, aside from like seeing it rise and seeing the bubbles, is to pour the water into the bowl that you're going to make the bread in, and then put your starter in and see if it floats. So when it floats, that's a really good sign. It's a nice healthy starter. I'm going to put 340-ish grams of water into my bowl. Usually it's 350, but in cooler weather, sometimes you don't need quite as much water. So we'll chuck this in here, get your digi scales on. About 50 grams of starter will do the trick, but I like to chuck in a little bit extra to be sure, you know. So anywhere between 50 and 100 is totally fine, I tend to find. And you can see here that my starter is floating in the water. It doesn't matter if it is a little bit stodgy, but generally you want to feel like it's quite buoyant, and you might see extra bubbles coming up out of it as well. That's a really good sign. So just the starter, the water, some salt, and I like to do the flour, starter and salt before I put in the flour. Salt's just 10 grams, and I like to use Himalayan salt because it's beautiful, it tastes really nice. And then we put in 40 grams of rye. This is just to give your bread a bit of extra fiber. Sometimes I'll use a combination of rye and wholemeal, sometimes just one or the other. The majority of the loaf is plain white organic flour, but I think it's just nice to give it that extra little, like I said, a fiber boost by giving it something that's got a bit more substance. So 40 grams of rye, tear the scales. It's going to be a total of 500 grams of flour. So the remaining 460 grams is just going to be this beautiful organic white stuff, which is Aussie grown, non-GMO. I'm going to start mixing. I've got a wooden spoon that I like to mix with. So with sourdough, you don't tend to knead it with your hands. You use a wooden spoon until you get to the next stage, which I'll talk you through once we get there. It starts off looking pretty rough. I'm going to scrape down the edges. Make sure you catch all the little bits of flour and all the moisture that's kind of sitting on the sides of the bowl, and then really get stuck into it so that all of the starter gets mixed through the flour, and hopefully the salt that we threw into the water spread out nice and evenly too. Although once you get to the stretch and fold stage, this should occur as a result. You can see like it's pretty rough. I've still got a bit of flour on the edges here, so I do want to make sure that all of that's mixed in. That's just me being pedantic. It probably wouldn't matter too much, but it's nice to have a bit of uniformity even from the start when you are making bread. looking pretty good. Scrape down the wooden spoon so you're not wasting anything. This is what my dough's looking like. And then all I'm gonna do from here is wet a tea towel, cover the bowl. I'll always put the tea towel fluffy side up, and that just reduces the likelihood that you'll get like little remnant bits of like terry toweling in the dough. And then you can leave it to sit for an hour. That's generally the accepted time frame, but I've left it overnight before and it's been amazing the next morning. It's like super silky to start stretching and folding. So leave it for as long as you like. You can always come back to it at any time.